If not, fake it because you have not looked in the table of contents to find it yet. I'm going to read the first 8 verses as we continue part 2 of this series, Shift My Worship. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. And above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, Woe is me, for I am lost, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a burning coal that he had taken with tongs from the altar. And he touched my mouth and said, Behold, this has touched your lips, your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for. Last verse. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then I said, Here I am, send me. You can be seated. On your way down, somebody shout, There's power in worship. If you're wondering why I may be up a little bit early, it's because we're doing a little backward church a little bit, because we're teaching on worship. I don't want to just teach on worship and then we go home and then you have to wait till Thursday night or Sunday morning to experience and kind of try to apply what we teach during that worship time. So what we did was we sung our 2 songs of worship, and then we saved the last portion after our ministry. So after our preach, we're going to finish and close out our worship moment, our worship experience. Okay, so last week we started the series Shift My Worship, and we talked about true worship. Let me give you the big idea again of this entire series is to shift from seeing worship as a weekend experience to seeing worship as a daily lifestyle. I want everybody to repeat that after me. Read that with me, because I want to make sure that we get this every week, okay? So when we're finished with this series, we've shifted. We have a new mindset. Our mind has been renewed, okay? On the count of 3, if you can read in unison. 1, 2, 3.
Shift from seeing worship as a weekend experience to seeing worship as a daily lifestyle.
That's what worship is. Worship is more than just what we do on Sunday morning. And a couple of nuggets from last week that I gave you, for those who weren't here or for those who need to be reminded, we gave you a couple things of what worship was not. One of the things that we said was that worship is not a musical genre. Worship is not a musical genre. Now that's what we've turned it into, and that's the mindset that we have, but that's one of the purposes of this series, is to shift the way that we view worship. We've decided that worship is something that we can put on a specific rack in Walmart. It's separated from gospel music. It's separated from country music. But that's not what worship is. It's not a genre. There was no genre in the Bible when men got down on their face beside and worshiped God. There was no praise music. There was no upbeat music. There was no slow music. So worship is not a genre. It's also not a tempo, but that again, that's one of the things that we've allowed to come into the church when it comes to worship. And then that's new, right? That's new, because we've separated praise and worship by what? By the tempo of the music. It's praise when we sing it fast, right? And then we say it's worship when we slow down the beat. It doesn't even matter what the words are. It doesn't matter what's going on. If it's fast, it's praise. If it's slow, it's worship. But worship is not a tempo. It's something more than singing. Now, music may be one of the greatest avenues or the most impactful avenues that we use worship for, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we have to see that worship is more than music. Worship is more than singing. It's something that you don't have to wait till you get to church on Sunday you can worship God in your car on your lunch break. You can worship God on the way to work, and you don't have to put a CD in. You don't have to put a Fred Hammond song in just so you can worship God. You can do it in your clothing. You can do it in your room. It doesn't matter when, where, or how. You can worship God because it's not solely connected to music. Now, how do we define worship? I came up with my own definition. The response of a born-again believer to the work of an awesome God. Now, last week, the verse that we used in John when Jesus was talking to the woman at the well, that word worship, that Greek definition was to lay prostrate on the ground. Kissing the ground, kissing the feet. If you notice, even that word worship that Jesus used, it had nothing to do with music. But worship is the response of a born-again believer to the awesomeness of God. Isn't God just awesome? And however we respond to God's awesomeness, that's what worship is. That's what it is. If it calls you to sing, that's worship. If it causes you to run, when you think about the goodness of Jesus and all that He's done, if it causes you to raise your hands in the sanctuary, then guess what? That's worship. If it causes you to run, if it causes you, I think Eric, you're a karate knight, you're a black belt. If it causes you to do some karate kicking, then guess what? For God, that's worship. If that's the response to how awesome He is. Now, don't get afraid. He's really not a black belt, okay? He's just a dark West drop. He can't fight. He uses mace, okay? But anyway, it's however we respond to God's awesomeness, that's what worship is. So as we look at our story today, we look at our text today, Isaiah, he's the writer of this book. He's also one of the major prophets of God. He finds himself in a vision. In the year that King Uzziah, his cousin, he died, and God decides to take him to the throne of God. He gives him a vision of actually being in heaven where God sits. And guess what? I saw this as a corporate worship setting. Angels are worshiping, the seraphims, they're crying, holy, 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 what? What does that say? I need some Bible reading to keep the Bible out. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. I see a corporate worship session going on right now. And let me drop this first nugget off for those who are writing. Worship is not about what God has done, but who God is. While the seraphims, while the angels were worshiping Him, all they were saying is, holy, holy, holy to the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts, it had nothing to do with what God did, but it had everything to do with who God was. Worship is not telling God how good He is because He blessed you with a promotion. That would be praise. Worship is not thanking God because you found a $20 bill on the way to the gas station when you didn't have no money and no gas, okay? That would be praise. Worship is not celebrating God because He blessed you to get that house and your credit score was 325, okay? That wouldn't be worship. That would be praise. Worship is celebrating Him just because He is who He is. Worship is celebrating God because He's so awesome. Worship is celebrating God because He's the one who created the heavens and the earth. Worship is celebrating God because He allows somebody like me, messed up, jacked up, and tore from the floor, to enter into the presence of God. That's what worship is. And in a few weeks, we'll talk about praise. But worship is not about what He's done. It's not about lifting up His hands in the sanctuary and saying, oh God, I thank You that I got a boyfriend now. It's been 3 years. I thank You that You blessed me. I thank You that You blessed me with a girlfriend. God, I'm ready to get married. I'm ready to put a ring on, tired of being lonely and single. That's not worship. That would be praising Him, okay? That would be praise, but that's not worship. Worship is all about who He is. God, I thank You for just being amazing.
Amen.
God, I think, can you worship God and it have nothing to do with praising Him for what He's done in your life?
Amen.
That's what worship is. That's what separates praise from worship, my brother. Because it's not about, we'll never be worshipers if all we can do is praise Him for what He's done. Because guess what? Some weeks it'll feel like God ain't done nothing for you. Teresa, I'm preaching better than they said amen. Some weeks you will get to church and you will feel like, where is God? Nothing went right in my life this week. Everything was hell. But then you'll still be able to lift your hands in the sanctuary. Why? Because in spite
spite of my week being hell, God is still on the throne. In spite of my week being messed up, guess what? God is still amazing. He allows somebody like me to worship him. He called me by name. My name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. He's my Savior. He's my lover. He's the anchor. That's why I can worship God. And it had nothing to do with praise. Okay? So the angels, they're worshiping him. And one of the things that I've noticed that is constant throughout the Old Testament is that whenever pure worship took place, God was always present.
Amen.
Wherever. When I think about Abel, when he worshiped God with his first fruits, where was God? God was right there. When we think about Abraham and he took his son and he took him up to the mountain, he told the people that were his servants, he said, let me go up and I'm going to worship God. And where was God?
Right there.
God was right there. When Moses was on Mount Sinai worshiping God, where was God? He was right there. What does that tell us? That wherever worship is, there is God. Wherever worship is, if you want to feel God, all you got to do is worship him. If you want to experience and encounter God, all you got to do is worship him. If you ever find yourself in a place of despair, just worship God and watch him show up. If you ever feel yourself lonely in the middle of the night, just start worshiping God, telling him how great he is, how amazing he is, Teresa, and watch God show up. Why? Because wherever worship is, God is there.
Amen.
Isaiah, he found himself in the middle of a worship, a corporate worship experience, and God was where? He was right there. So he saw God in the temple, and what did it say? The train of his robe did what? I got 4 people that kept their Bibles and their apps open. The train did what? It filled the temple. It's his robe, or the hem of his robe. It filled the entire temple. The description of this, most scholars agree that this was a representation of Jesus Christ, the King of Kings. The robe, it represents the royal robe that a king would wear, right? And they back this up with John, the writer of the book of John. He said that Isaiah saw the glory of Christ and he talked about it. And this was the place where Isaiah talked about the robe and talked about the glory. So Isaiah was in the midst of Jesus Christ. That was just for my one of these scholars in the building, okay? But I believe that worship is one of the few things, along with praise, that causes the essence of Christ to fill an entire room.
Amen.
The glory was there. The power of God was there. When we come together corporately, God shows up and he brings his glory with us. But the problem is, because we don't understand that God is here and ready to shower us because his train is in the place, we just become spectators. But you have to understand that worship, corporate worship, is not a spectator sport. Worship is not something where the team gets on the stage and you're nothing more than cheerleaders and fans pushing them on to go, get a touchdown, score a basket, win the game. That's not what worship is. But somehow, throughout the church, when we introduce the worship team, the worship move from the church and move to the praise team.
Amen.
That's what happened. The praise team was created, the worship leader was created, and then all of a sudden, all of us who were in the pews, it turned into a concert. And then what do we do now? The majority of us in the audience, we don't even worship. We just sit there and we watch the show. But now, I'm challenging you to shift. To not see yourself as just a spectator for a group of people who practice and learn song to entertain you, make you feel good, push you into the presence of God, and all you got to do is just stand there and wait for something to hit you in the back of the head. That's what we do. That's what we want. How many of you came here this morning and you want to feel God? You wanted to feel God. Pretty much everybody. You didn't want to feel God, Brittany? Okay, so she didn't want to raise her hand. Okay, we all wanted to feel God. But how many of you worship during worship? I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, because I turned around and I looked. I said, let me see who's worshiping. And I saw so many people just standing there, spectating.
Help us.
I'm not somebody like, oh my God, did he see me? This ain't about me.
You missed the opportunity. Why? Because there's power in worship. And we're going to see what took place in the life of Isaiah when he found himself in the middle of a corporate worship session. How many of us, because we do not get involved in the worship when it's going on corporately, do we leave here missing out on the power that sits inside of it?
Amen.
Man, at the end of this, some of us going to be like, man, I missed out on all the stuff that God could have been doing in my life week after week, because all I did was get here on time to just sit back and watch. All I did was just sit back and watch Casey get a blessing while she's on the stage ministering. All I did was sit back and watch Dana get delivered from some stuff she was dealing with while she was worshiping God. When all along, you could have been getting delivered.
Amen.
Right there in your seat. But Pastor, you don't understand. I'm not really one that jumps around. I'm not really one that runs and falls on the floor. I didn't see anything about Isaiah running around either. When we look at it, he didn't run around. He didn't jump. But guess what? When you indulge in worship, you have no idea what will happen when God gets to moving. When the glory of God gets to moving, if you release yourself, Rashad, if you just release yourself, man, I promise you, I done seen the manly of men fall out when they just said yes. I done seen the hardest I've seen killers lift their hands and cry in the presence of God. Where was you at, Pastor? In the church? God came in. When I was locked up in prison, I seen the mass murderers who was willing to lift their hands, get down on their knees and get down on their face in tears and weep, drench their shirts. Why? Because of the awesomeness of God. Even though they would never see the street again another day in their life. God deserves our worship. And we're missing out on the power that's in the middle of worship. God gave me a word, Melvin, for the worship leaders. For the worship team. Where my worshipers at? Where my musicians at? That's good. When I was reading this text, Casey, I saw the seraphims as worship leaders. Stay with me, y'all. I saw the worship leaders, the seraphims, as worship leaders. And what jumped out at me is that they were worshiping God, crying, holy, 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 when Isaiah got there. I'm going. Watch me. I'm talking to y'all because y'all on the worship team, on the praise team, those future praise and worship leaders on the team. The angels were worshiping God before Isaiah got there. They didn't walk in the presence of God with Isaiah. They were already there before Isaiah got there. What does that mean? If you're going to be worshipers, you got to make sure that you're already in the presence of God before the rest of us even get there. If you're going to lead us there, you have to have already been there. You can't go in with me. And now if you're going to be able to stay leading, well, Pastor, I'm not a worship leader. I'm just a background. No, there is no background singers on the praise team. There may be a lead singer, but every last one of you are worship leaders. Every last one of you are worship leaders. And you can't take me no place you ain't never been. And if you're going to be a worship leader, if you're going to be a part of the praise team, if you're going to be a minister of music, then guess what? You just can't get in the presence of God on Sunday like the rest of us who just being lazy and don't never talk to God during the week. But you got to make sure you worship it on Monday. You got to make sure you worship it on Tuesday. You got to make sure that you're worshiping God on Wednesday. You got to worship and you got to be in the presence before the rest of us even get there. Okay?
Amen.
I speak over all of you right now. There's a shift about to take about to shift from singers to worship leaders. I prophesy over every last one of you right now. You're about to shift from musicians to minstrels. You're about to shift from musicians to minstrels. Levites, you're called. That's who you are. And guess what? The Levites were the ones when everybody else was worshiping the golden calf. They were the ones who said, I stand for God alone and for nobody else. I want you to get some Levites. So Isaiah, he's in the middle of a holy worship session. I ain't even got to the sermon yet. This is all my introduction. Pray for me. The seraphims, they were some interesting beasts. I call them beasts. I mean, when you really think about it, and you see the 6 wings, brother, that seems like something off of like Harry Potter or something, right? Something like one of them Harry Potter or one of them beast films or whatever. It said that they had 6 wings, okay? It said 2 wings covered the face, 2 wings covered their feet, and 2 wings so that they could fly. So I spent some time looking at that and come to realize that the wings that covered their face, it was because they were unworthy to see the glory of God. They were unworthy. They weren't worthy to see God, so the wings covered their face while they were in the presence of God. Humility. The feet. There really was no context to Candy the context. There really was no context. I couldn't use any context clues to come up with the feet, but the thing that I could reference was Moses. When he was in the presence of God at the burning bush, what did God say? He said, take off your shoes. Why? Because this is holy ground. So I wondered if the wing represented something that had to do with them standing on holy ground. Not being worthy, but having to have something cover their feet while they were on holy ground. And it made me see that humility is a foundation for worship. It's a requirement for worship. It is necessary for worship. Going forward, when you come into corporate worship, when you go in your car and you worship God, when you're at home and you go in your closet and you want to worship God, you got to go in there with the mindset that I don't even deserve to be here. You got to go in there with the mindset of some, you just don't run up in heaven like, I'm here. I just want everybody to know I'm here. I'm going to worship God. I got a right to be here. I got the authority. No, you don't. You have nothing but the blood of Jesus. That's the only thing that allows you to get into heaven. And you have to approach worship with that same humility. That God, this is how it should look in your mind. I don't even deserve to see you, God. But you invited me here. You told me you wanted to be here. So I want to see you. Oh God, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve it. As a matter of fact, why am I even standing up? This is how you need to see it in your mind. We're about to shift the way we see worship. God, I don't even deserve it. First of all, God, forgive me that the last time I was here, I was just watching. I had my hands folded this morning. When we were worshiping, the seraphims were trying to take me in. The worship leader were trying to take me into your presence. And I was just watching, but I realized that I needed to be down on my knees. I needed to be down on my face because, God, I don't even deserve to see you. My Lord. Humility. It's a foundation for worship. We got to see that we don't even deserve it. And I believe that when we see that we don't even deserve to be there, there's this awness that's going to come. And we'll understand why the seraphim, all they could say was holy, holy, holy. I can't think about nothing else but holy. Oh, God is holy. He's perfect. He's pure. Yet he allows you and I to see him. To experience his glory. Oh my God, you're telling me that doesn't change the way you view worship? weeks ago, they came, they asked for forgiveness with a pure heart, and God said, enter. God, I humbly walk in. Humility is sets the tone for worship. And in the midst of this worship, something happened in Isaiah's life. He's transformed forever in the midst of it. And I believe that whatever happened on that day in worship is the same thing that can happen to us when we worship as well. There's three things that I saw that happened when God's transformative power was present in worship. One, I'm in the sermon now, conviction. Somebody shout conviction.
Conviction.
Y'all, I'm ready to worship, aren't y'all? I'm ready to do this thing different. Conviction. What did he say? What did he say? You don't have to play right now. You don't have to get on me. We'll come back. It says, woe is me. What verse am I at? I just want to see if anybody still got to say, Bob, y'all have turned it all off and everything. He says, woe is me, for I am what? I am lost. In the midst of corporate worship, conviction set in. That tells me that in the midst of worship, God will show us who we really are.
That's so true.
God will show you who you really are in the middle of the worship. Why is that so important? We can't change. Transformation cannot and will not take place in our life until we see how lost we really are. This was the beginning of an entire shift in the life and ministry of Isaiah, and it took place in the middle of worship. It wasn't necessarily prayer. It wasn't necessarily Bible study. He was in the middle of a praise team singing, holy, holy, holy to the Lord of hosts. And in there, the spirit of conviction was released, and he saw himself as a lost individual. And the reason why some of us can't see ourselves as being lost is because we don't worship.
Yeah.
Because we won't worship. Because we just spectate. Because we just watch. And we leave the same way that we came. And then the worship leader and the pastor said, you need to be here at worship. Don't just come when the preacher gets up. Don't get up there when the pastor gets up. But you're missing a life-changing opportunity in the midst of worship. Isaiah, conviction came. He said, I'm lost. Woe is me. Change doesn't take place until you see the real you. 2 Corinthians 7:10, Paul said, godly grief, which is conviction, it produces a repentance that leads to salvation. We're missing sin ourselves, but in worship, while we're humbled at his feet, he starts showing us the sin that we need to let go of. He starts showing us the evil desire that we need to let go of. And I realized that God is a consuming fire. And the closer we get to God, the more stuff burns off of us. So if you want to let go of some stuff, you just need to get closer to God. You just need to get in his fiery presence. You need to get where the glory is, because nothing evil can stand in the presence of God's glory. Every knee must bow, even if it's the knee of your sin and evil desires. That'll happen during worship. Conviction. What else happened? I got about 5 minutes before we go back to our worship. Second, confession. Somebody shout conviction.
Conviction.
Second shout confession.
Confession.
He said in that same verse, for I am a man of what? Unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people with unclean lips. So he said, he starts confessing his sins. He's like, my lips, my tongue, God, they not right. And then he said, the people that I'm around, they ain't right either. So God not only calls him to repent of his sin, but also the fact that he hung around people who had the same sins. Side note, many of us will never move forward in God because we won't disconnect from the people who are addicted to the same thing we're addicted to. You got to leave them if you want to go somewhere else. There'll be a time when you can go back. See, now I can go back and help some people that My lips ain't right. My tongue ain't right. The way I talk, my speech, when I allow it come out, it ain't right. And guess what? What's in the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So he was having some heart issues. So his heart wasn't right. The people around him, their heart wasn't right. And that confession was nothing more than a repentance. Amen. How do we know there's power in confession? 1 John 1:9. John says, if we confess our sins, he's what? Faithful. He's faithful and just to do what? To forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us from our sins and all our unrighteousness. Healing takes place. Cleaning takes place. Purification, it takes place when we confess and repent. And it was in the presence of God during worship where Isaiah saw, and he felt led to confess and repent of his sin. And watch this, something happens. What do the angels do? What do the angels do? For those who still have their Bible out, it says that they went to the altar and did what? And they got a burning coal, and he did what? Y'all don't keep your Bibles out. He took it with the tongue of the altar, and he touched his mouth with the burning coal. And guess what? His guilt was taken away, his sin was atoned for, and his lips were transformed. His heart was transformed. Guess what? Feeling bad does not transform you. He said, woe is me. Did the angels move then? They didn't move at that point. They didn't move till after he said, I confess that my heart is not right. I hung around people whose heart's not right. My mouth is not right. Their mouth is not right. It was at that moment then God moved in a transformation. Amen. I said, start. It doesn't start because you feel bad when we do the altar call. It doesn't start. Your transformation does not start because you feel bad about a few things right now, but it's the confession and the repentance. What is repent? Repent means I'm going to turn around. That's what that is. You got to be willing to turn around. You can't just feel bad about it, about what you did last night. I saw what you did last night. That's what Holy Spirit said. But you can't just feel bad about it. You got a confession and you got to repent. And that desire to do that will come during worship. Amen. So what happened first during worship? What came? Conviction. And then what? And the last one, calling. Calling came. He says what? He says, and I heard the voice of the Lord. I believe that's verse 8. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and who will go for us? Then I said, here I am. Send me. Or like most of us who grew up in the King James Version, here am I. Here am I, send me. In worship, God can speak clarity in our situations. Isaiah must have been in a place where he didn't know who he was, didn't know where he was going, didn't know destiny. And there's many of us in the room, we're like that right now. We don't know. I don't know what to do next. I don't know where to go next. But Isaiah got that clarity when? In the midst of a worship experience. He heard God speak. And I believe if it happened to Isaiah, it can happen to us in the middle of worship. It can happen to us or we're at the throne of God. It can happen to us when we're in a place where his essence, his presence is completely filling the room, where his glory is. I believe we can get direction for our life. Amen. Amen. Many of us may not even know our direction because we don't worship. Because I've been the spectator. God was like, I've been preparing and waiting to give you direction, but man, you won't get to my throne. Amen. You won't enter into my gates with thanksgiving, and you won't enter into my court. You won't enter where I am. You won't come to where I am at the throne. You just watch everybody else go there. Yeah. And then you wonder why you have no direction. But I believe just like Isaiah got the call, got the direction, found his purpose, I believe it can happen to us while we're in worship. So 3 things that I saw that happened in there was conviction, confession, and calling. It all took place during worship. Somebody shout, there's power in worship.
There's power in worship.
Get ready, worship. We established last week that the foundation of worship is not based on what we can get from him. We established that last week, that worship is not about coming here so that I can feel good. What worship is not about coming to church so that I can have an experience, but it's about God. It's about showering him with words and affirmations of how good and how great he is. But because that's not our foundation, it doesn't mean that we neglect what can take place during worship. It doesn't mean that. We still have to know that some things can take place and some things will take place during worship. So I'm praying that as we worship him, and it's all about him, and it's not about me feeling good. It's not about me having an experience where I can leave and say, man, we had an amazing experience because of how I felt. That's not the way. We're shifting away from how we judge a great worship experience. Heather, now we're saying that a great worship experience is when I got to tell God how good he was because of who he is. That's a great worship experience. It's not because I ran, it's not because I jumped, it's not because I shouted, but it's because I had the chance to tell God how good he is. So as we go into this last portion of worship, we're going to just worship God for who he is, but we're also going to believe that during that time we're going to experience conviction. And as we confess, we'll hear direction from God. Because he's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. And if he did it for Isaiah, then I believe Keisha, brother, that he can do it for me. But on this set, in this time, in this portion, we're going to do something a little bit different. Stand to your feet. The worship team won't be here. Nobody will be on the stage. Because now you're the worship team. That's what we want to shift to. That maybe there'll be 3 or 4 people. You can cut those off. Maybe there'll be 3 or 4 people up here every week, every service. But we're all a part of a worship team.